CEO of Rep Health, back with another webinar. Today we're talking about your health data and where it actually goes. So, the big question, we have these devices that are recording all of our health metrics nowadays. We can get stuff to record our sleep, our heart rate, our HRV, all passively in the background, our steps. And, where does it go? What does it do? What's it used for? And what types of data are being collected. So there's health data that's passive, there's health data that's contextual. What is the difference on all this stuff? What's the differences in its value? What's it worth? Who owns it? These are the big things we want to try to unpack today. So think of your health data. My head's going to move around quite a bit today. So, sorry about that. Going to move around quite a bit today, so hopefully it's not a distraction for you. So there's two possible journeys essentially. It can be used against you or it could be used for you. We're going to dive into examples of each one of these so you get a better understanding of what we mean by against you. So your health data when it's used let's say against you or in a way that doesn't benefit you monetarily or from a service or value standpoint. So I have a device, it's monitoring my sleeping behavior, let's say. And it does that passively in the background. There's no real environmental context around the data that's being collected. It's just recording my sleeping behaviors. And then, in the morning, I can take a look at that device and then maybe see, how many hours of REM I got versus, long wave sleep, these types of things. Where does that data go? What's it being used for? So it depends on the agreement that you signed when you signed up for this product, which you probably didn't read that agreement anyways. So, because they're huge and they're long on purpose. Let's say that data could be sold to advertisers like Sleep Country or a company that manufactures pillows or melatonin and sold to them so they can advertise to you because they know that you need a sleeping product or sleeping aids. So this is an example of where your health data is being used in a way to monetize you. And whether that's working for you or against you, I'm not sure. I don't really think it's working for you from the standpoint you're volunteering this information, and what you're getting back is advertisers and products to buy, more money to be spent. Another way would be, let's say, data being used to adjust your insurance premiums, like heart rate values or HRV. These are when they're shared, not necessarily it's gray whether it's shared with you or not, but where it's not necessarily monetarily benefiting you or there's a good service or habit being built where the service that you're getting is a value to you. Then there's when data essentially does benefit you. Let's say you wear a glucose monitoring device and it's connected to your physician. And as it's monitoring the foods that you're eating, it's databasing what's happening to your blood sugar live time. That's being shared with your physician. Then you and your physician can work together on behaviors and trends and eating habits that can lower your blood sugar and regulate it better. That's awesome. That's value in data that's being used for you. Another example would be let's say your union or your worker organization gets a product where they can log data on the impact of working a certain drill or driving a certain piece of equipment every day and how you feel at the end of the day. That information could then be used to bargain for, better wages or different equipment in order to take away some of the physical strain that you are under from doing that particular job. That's where data is coming back and driving benefit to you. So real world contrast. So let's look at it. So here's some wearable data, wearable product on the left. Of course, this is data that you're voluntarily giving into a system, into a corporation, that the corporation then owns that de-identified anonymized data, right? On the right, you're going to see Rep Health, big fan. And that is a company that the data that it's collecting is actually owned by the user, not by the company. The data can then be monetized for the user's benefit, as opposed to the left, your health data is being monetized without your benefit. So let's break into like a real dive here into the different types of data and what that value is. So, first thing we're going to look at is quality. So, self-reported data versus passive. So, number one, passive data has very, very high error rates. And you can look this up. It's anywhere between, it depends on if you're active or not. So as soon as you start to become active, moving, which is where all the high quality data is being, you want air, you want high accuracy during high movement, right? Whether that be or high environmental strain. Passive data through wearables and such, the error rates go as high as 30% when we're active, as opposed to when we're just sedentary. It comes down to around like 10 to 15% error rates. So that's a big thing. If you're making any kind of like insurance claim on passive data and it's changing your premiums, if you're active a lot or your job requires you to be active, there's no environmental context around that information it's collecting, and it could be making really bad decisions that are affecting you. Self-reported data, on the other hand, has very low error rates. It's actually how you are. And tying into the next box, with context or without context, self-reported data is contextual, meaning, I feel like I feel physically exhausted today. I feel mentally fatigued. And these are the 3 or 4 things that I was exposed to environmentally: stress, smoke, vibration today, in order to bring context to the reason why I feel that way. As opposed to without context, heart rate being tracked by a device. You're going to pick up your kids from school. There's a car accident. You don't want to be late. You don't want them waiting outside by themselves. And your heart rate spikes. There's no environmental context around that. So there's no understanding of why it's going up. So this is the difference, right? The next thing we want to talk about is habit forming versus drifting. Passive data allows for drifting. There's no interaction with you and the behavior to understand how to make a difference or why to make any changes. As opposed to when you're manually inputting data, you're reflecting on the behavior, the pattern. You're reflecting on, I feel exhausted today, right? Why is that? What time did I go to bed? What time did I wake up? Have I worked overtime 3 days in a row? There's context. There's ability for you to analyze your behaviors because you're engaging through a process of asking you why. And through that process of asking you why, you build awareness and you can change habits. The last piece is the difference between the value of self-reported data versus passive data. And really, self-reported data is high quality versus passive data is really like high quantity, low quality. What does that actually mean in dollars and cents? So from a dollars and cents standpoint, here it is side by side. So here's, a wearable industry, let's say, in the middle, and, Rep Health on the right, and the annualized data on 10,000 users who benefit. So around $50,000 to $100,000 a year goes to the corporation, which this isn't their revenue stream, by the way. This is just offshoots of revenue. The main revenue is in selling these devices, right? And paying for subscriptions to the monthly. That's where the money is. But there is still monetization happening that's not being shared with you on your health information. As opposed to Rep Health, that monetization goes back to the user. So at 10,000 users, if we increase wages by $1,500 a year, that's $1.5 million straight back to the users, $1,500 a piece. Error rates, right? Error rates 30 to 40% on wearables, as opposed to Rep Health, very low. Direct self-report biometric baseline. This is how you feel. Who's the recipient? We talked about that. The corporation, when it comes to the wearables receiving the monetization. From a product standpoint like Rep Health or a company like Rep Health, you receive the monetization. And when it comes to bargaining utility, how defensible is this stuff? There's no real defensibility in passive data because it doesn't have any environmental context. When it comes to self-reported data with environmental context, it has high defensibility. So it has a value when it comes to arbitrating or getting something for it. So why does this all matter? Your data is your fingerprint. It's so valuable. It is you. It's your health, and your health should be something that you receive a huge amount of value for if you're sharing it, right? So make sure that you're teaming up with groups that look at it from that perspective. Take control, right? Always ask who owns my data. Next time you sign up for some type of, you know, product, or you buy something that has some type of monitoring of one of your health metrics, you know, download their privacy agreement, drop it in ChatGPT, and just ask it, hey, who benefits from this? You know, me or them? Is there any monetization happening in the background that I'm unaware of? Ask it. It'll do the work for you. Use platforms that give value back. Make sure that you own the data, or there's monetization processes involved for you sharing. Your health data is your most powerful asset. Use it wisely. So invest your time with your health data like it's your own money. Thanks very much for listening. Have a great day.